1-877-WEB-NOW and the number 1. 1-877-WEB-NOW-1.
If you're employed in manufacturing or assembly, or want to be, there's a company in the western suburbs that wants to talk to you right now. This is a company that not only employs skilled labor, but appreciates it and values the work you do. This is Greg Raskushka, president of Magna Schultz of America. We're a family-owned company where time with the company is measured not in days or months, but years and decades. Opportunity for advancement is always there, and your hard work is appreciated every day. Our company is growing. We have full-time openings for assembly operators and CNC Swiss machinists. Magna Schultz of America is always considered a high-tech leader in our industry, and we're on a journey to be enduringly great. Be part of our group of curious, gritty team members that take ownership and pride in their work and the company. A place where your problem-solving skills are appreciated.
Here's how to connect. Call 630-789-0600. Magna Schultz of America is hiring right now and wants your skills. 630-789-0600.
When you're hiring, there's no luxury of time. So instead of waiting for people to see your sponsored post, invite them to apply. More at Indeed.com/credit.
8:38, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonti.
8094 westbound traffic is slow from Chase to Indianapolis Boulevard due to the ongoing construction. It's 21 minutes from the toll road to the Bishop Ford Freeway, eastbound 15. The Edens runs 18 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 14. On the Kennedy, 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 27 from Montrose, 18 in the Express, outbound 23 minutes to the airport. On the Eisenhower, travel time's coming down a bit. It's 48 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound, it's 30. The Stevenson from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 47 minutes after a medical emergency at Harlem. Inbound Orion from 95th to downtown, it's 17 minutes. I-57, 12 minutes. I-80 to the Burge, Bishop Ford 11. I'm Jim Telemonti. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Morning rain or snow shower on the way. Friends at the National Weather Service already had snowflakes falling there in the southwest suburbs. We'll see about an inch of snow, a little more south of I-80 and a high near 40. Snow shower and a freeze overnight, low of 30. 37 right now at O'Hare. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy and Cheryl Atkinson, our friend and investigative reporter. Her Full Measure program recently did a piece on policing, and the focus was Minneapolis, which is appropriate given the wait for the Chauvin trial verdict and whatever may ensue. But what was interesting, in part, they talked to, for this piece, they talked to a local community organizer, civil rights activist named Don Samuels, who's been in Minneapolis for 2.5 decades. And it's fascinating what Don Samuels and a few other Minneapolis residents are doing. They're suing the city over policing, but not in the direction you might think.
In Minneapolis, the number of officers on patrol plummeted. For Don Samuels, that left him in an ironic position.
Why the lawsuit? We're just preventing this irresponsible city council from being absolutely disastrous in its decision-making.
Samuels and his neighbors are now suing the city to add more police. Based on a per capita mandate in the city's charter, Minneapolis must have around 750 officers. Because so many have quit or are out on long-term leave, some struggling with PTSD, the department is currently about 100 officers below that number, says James Dickey, the attorney for the group of 8 residents suing.
There really shouldn't be a fight like this. It shouldn't be that the city is being forced, against its will, so almost it seems like, to put a certain number of officers on the streets of Minneapolis to protect its citizens. It shouldn't be a struggle. It should just be something that is good public policy, that when citizens are crying out for protection, that the city provides it.
Fascinating, revolutionary. And Don Samuels, if things don't improve?
For the first time since we've moved here, we said to each other something that we've never said before in 24 years.
Infiltration. Paul, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Dan, Amy, good to be back. Thanks.
The disconnect between residents, even residents that have concerns about police and police brutality and how Black Americans are treated by police, improve on the margins, but they recognize the important role police play, something that the dyed-in-the-wool Democrat socialists don't seem to recognize.
Well, that's right. And, Sheriff Dave Clark, who was the sheriff of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, which I guess isn't terribly far from you guys, right?
No.
And he said, a favorite quote of mine from his, that he said last year was, in regard to this idea of defunding the police, he said, quote, "You'd have to loathe Black people to do that," right? The police are the only thing standing between them and violent crime predators. And of course, that's exactly right. It's common sense, and yet you've got people like Rashida Tlaib out there this week, which, by the way, both she and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said was no accident, right? And this was the case of the female police officer in Brooklyn City, Wisconsin, or Brooklyn Center, Wisconsin. So no more policing and no more incarceration. So they've gone from defunding the police to abolishing the police, and now even no more policing. So this is just getting crazier and crazier by the day with these people.
Oh, and how has the Daunte Wright death ratcheted up the rhetoric to a new level?
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's where they are, Amy. I mean, it didn't. Rather than pausing and calmly looking at this situation and say, okay, this is awful. This is another tragedy. But clearly, we've got the police officer here. Her name was Kim. I'm trying to think of the last
Potter.
name. Yeah, that's it. Clearly she's on tape. She's on video, saying, I'm going to taser you, right? And then she reaches and she pulls out what she thinks is her taser, and following the instruction manual. She was on the police force for almost 30 years. She trains people, right? So she yells, taser, 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 which is like a situation when you're in a hospital and somebody's having a heart attack and you're about to hit them with trying to jumpstart them back to life, right? So she yells, taser, 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 which means clear, clear, clear. And instead, she has her gun, and she shot her. She pulled the trigger on her gun. By the way, if you watch the video on this, all this happens in like 5 seconds. I mean, not even 10 seconds. I mean, this happens in like 5 seconds. It's a completely chaotic situation. And
Yeah.
she shot the guy. Yeah,
But
Yeah.
here's the thing. There's no point in addressing these things on the merits with respect to the Marxist ideologues. And I think that the left should continue beating the drum of defunding the police, because the political gain is to enlist young people who make sure that they're part of the Democrat socialist governing coalition.
For exactly that. I mean, they were calling for that a year ago. So this has been this is socialists, which are all about big government, right, and massive government. Here they sudden. But I was reading a piece in, I think it was the Fox News website yesterday, by Newt Gingrich, and he shared some shocking facts. I mean, is this true? He said that there were 264 police officers that were killed in 2020. 264, which was a 96% increase over the previous year. I mean, I remember, Dan and Amy, when, 10 years ago when a police officer would be killed, I mean, it was like a national event, right? All the police from like all the surrounding states would come in. There would be a massive funeral. And yet here we are last year in the COVID year, lockdown, when people aren't supposed to be leaving their houses. There were 264 police killed last year.
I know.
Yeah,
Same with car accident deaths. I mean, they almost, they went up a fourth too, and it was a lockdown year.
Wow. And here you could say there's a direct correlation between a massive jump in police shootings last year and riots, right? Last year. And so, I mean, the police are under target and in the crosshairs literally more than ever before, and yet there's no sympathy for police.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's the leading intellectual lights of the left have no sympathy. Ibram Kendi, writing in the Atlantic, Ibram in most K through 12 school systems and college campuses these days, writing. He wrote this in the Atlantic: "Police compliance with our humanity could be the solution, but I can't imagine the institution of American policing ever recognizing Breonna Taylor's human rights, Eric Garner's cries to breathe, the life of a Latino seventh grader." The life of a Latino seventh grader has a right to live. The institution of American policing has never systematically complied with my humanity, and it never will. To believe otherwise is to comply with an alternative history, with a fantasy land and wishful thinking, with an American dream that is my American nightmare. And every suburban female peahat is going to take this piece and run with it and be even more of a blight on society than they already are.
Well, and also, too, here, Dan, I mean, think about how he's impugning black people and black police officers with that statement. I mean, in Chicago, I wouldn't be surprised if half the police force is black. Certainly cities like Baltimore, certainly cities like Washington, D.C.
Right.
So I mean, that's just a crazy statement. By the way, Kendi is also the one who, when Amy Coney Barrett was up last year for confirmation, referred to people like her who adopt black children. By the way, this would include me. My youngest child is adopted and black. Refer to them as white colonizers who use their black adopted children as props or some such vicious nonsense like that. And as you said, this is a guy who wrote a book on how to be an anti-racist.
Well, being an anti-racist is to be a racist, as we know from if you've read the book, and I'm sure you have, or you get the gist of his philosophical the philosophical fraud he is perpetrating effectively on so much of America. So in these big cities, Baltimore, Minneapolis, Chicago, L.A., New York. I mean, why don't we just say, do what you want? You have the power. Yeah. You have the votes. You're in control. You want to defund police? You want to eliminate the police department altogether? Okay, whatever.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and do it. And talk to people in places like Portland and Seattle, and you can already see the second thoughts that the liberals there are having about their statements that they made last week. But again, to quote David Clark, you'd have to loathe black people to do that to them. And the cities, the inner cities, would become war zones. And it's Trump country, white rural America that would not be hurt by that, right?
You don't understand. I'm on your side. You're not. You're not on your side. I'm on the side of law-abiding black families and every other family of every other race and every other.
And here we are today on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021. And there is at least some public blowback against Maxine Waters and what she said yesterday or the day before. But I haven't heard any call among Democrats or in Congress for censuring Rashida Tlaib for what she said.
Nor will you.
Right?
Nor will you.
No, and if you go to CNN, it's 24/7 Matt Getz right now, and as soon as that's done, they're going to go right back after Marjorie Taylor Greene. But they don't say anything against the extremists in their own party, and this is the way they are. I mean, there's nothing on it whatsoever.
Well, because the extremists are a feature, not a bug. They are the extremists. I mean, with very few exceptions. He is Professor Paul Kengor, Professor of Political Science at Grove City College in Grove City, PA, contributing to the American Spectator, the book, The Devil and Karl Marx, Communism's Long March of Death, Deception, and Infiltration. Professor Paul, thanks for joining us.
Sure, Dan and Amy. Take care. Hang in there.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, here's a repetitive ad. Okay. Research shows that people remember radio ads with repetition, so to help you remember